morning, Panos. It's a pleasure to have you back. And with you, I'm starting this new phase, the phase of managing own experience. And we already had one conversation, and I called it the cat and the lizard. As you
Yes.
know, and that was it. And today we're going to enter in the second one. And I'm going to leave you the room,
Yes.
and I'm gonna be, if you will, a guinea pig for the moment being.
Fantastic. Yeah. It's very interesting. Since we spoke last week, I had the opportunity to speak to a friend of mine in Greece. And, we're chatting. I haven't seen him for a while and all that. And I asked him the same thing about the cat. And his description was completely different. He had an old Siamese cat that he loved very much. It used to roll on the ground. It was very playful. And I said to him, I've got this Italian friend across the river. They're from you guys. And for him, it's like so let us then build on what we said last time. Okay. The idea is, at least in my mind, the purpose of having these conversations is for people to become clear in their mind that the experience that we are having right now, they are not experiencing it in real time. Now, I mentioned this before. I'm just going to give you a quick review in case people haven't seen the previous video. Is the time that it takes for a signal to go from the eye to the brain, from the ear to the brain, from the nose to the brain, etc., is different because the length of the neurons is longer or shorter. As a result, it is impossible for you to see me and hear me and all the rest at the same time. This is fundamental reality, which means the only way what we can conclude from that is that you're not seeing me now. You are seeing a projection of your brain of what you think, in inverted commas, me and the room is about. This is a fundamental scientific fact. It's not opinion, it's not religion, it's how it is. Now, why I'm telling you this is because we have a distorted, in my own opinion, distorted view on what is real and what is fantasy. Let me explain. When you're looking at the computer in front of you, you close your eyes, you open your eyes again, there's the computer, it hasn't moved. As a result, you call that real. Why is it real? Because your experience of it is consistent. In other words, your brain is continuously receiving the same signals from whatever is in front of you. We have been accustomed to call that real. On the other hand, when we think, well, that's fantasy. Why is that so? There are two reasons. Number one, it's not always there. You close your eyes, now you see an elephant. The next thing you see a mountain. It keeps changing. That's number one. Number two, in the beginning, the image of the cat might be less intense than the intensity that you and I have from seeing what we call physical objects. But now let's keep in mind a fundamental principle. Both the physical objects and the so-called mental objects are actually mental objects in our experience of them. I'm not saying there's no physical world. That's a different discussion. I'm saying the way we experience the physical world is precisely the same process that we experience what we call imagination. Okay, so this is a fundamental place. Okay?
So let me say it the way I hear it in synthesis.
Yes.
Basically, whatever experience we have begins from within. Even though the things are outside, our experience begins within. And so we are creating our interpretation rather than withdrawing the interpretation from the outside.
Absolutely. So there's the key to suffering and freedom. It's like a double-edged sword. It can cut you in half or it can liberate you. So today's discussion, therefore, I would like us to explore this inner world, okay, a little bit more, okay. And essentially there are two basic, very broad aspects, what we call heaven and what we call hell. So I thought, well, let's start with a heaven experience first. Start easy, in other words. We don't want to jump into hell, right? And so in other words, first of all, to provide a sort of a method, in other words, how to do it. Secondly, to have the experience so that you and I can talk from first-hand experience, not theory. And then we can analyze it or discuss it as we see. So let's jump right in, okay? Perfect. So if I were to say to you, can you think of something that you would like to have, that you would love to have, something that would make you so happy if you had it? Can you give me an example? Anything like that?
Right now, it's I cannot think about many other things other than be free to go everywhere, which is I don't
Okay,
know if that's
so let's okay, great. So let's start with that. Now, your first statement, be free to go anywhere, has no meaning at all, because what is free, what is anywhere, go, I understand, but free and anywhere, I have no idea. So specifically then, where would you go if you were free to go there?
right now. I would love to go to a restaurant and have a great
To
dinner.
where?
A
Sorry, to
restaurant. A restaurant.
a restaurant.
Yeah,
Fantastic,
a
great stuff.
sushi restaurant,
You-
to be specific.
Oh, brilliant. And do you have a restaurant like that in mind?
Oh yes, it's close by, but it's
Okay.
closed, obviously.
Okay, fantastic. Now, for the sake of the audience, I'm going to talk to the audience. You don't listen to this. Guys, watch his face. Okay, so I want you now to run the video forward and tell me, okay, I'm walking down this street. There I see the restaurant. Just walk me through the process of going to this restaurant. What do you see? What do you hear? How do you feel?
So I go down, I pick up the car, I put the family in the car, we go outside of the gate that opens itself, because it's automatic, and then I enter on the street, and I have a couple of places like the roundabout, and then there's a lake on my left hand, no, right hand, and then after the
Yeah.
lake there's another roundabout, and right there is the restaurant, the sushi restaurant.
Okay, so at which point do you feel good about the restaurant experience? At which point does it become, ooh, it's the restaurant, as opposed to, well, I'm just driving and going? At which point does it become exciting?
I'm excited when I leave my house, but when I see the restaurant, it makes it, my mouth start to feel the sushi.
Exactly. So now imagine going inside the restaurant. Where would you sit? Where's the best table in that restaurant?
It's like it's a big restaurant, but it's on the left side, not too close, but quite close to the kitchen, which
Okay,
is
great.
open.
So you got your favorite table. You're sitting there. You got a specific place, I assume. People are sitting around you, the family, as you put it. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel sitting there?
I feel ready to eat.
Okay.
Ready to be
So
to enjoy the food.
okay. So let's create a scale so that you and I know what it is that you're actually saying. On a scale of 10, right? 1 being low and 10 being high. How intense and what feeling do you have as you are ready to order?
It's really. I believe that it's around let's say 8, because 10 is when I have the plate on the table and I'm eating. But I'm at 8. The expectation is quite high.
There, yeah.
The expectation is quite high, and the desire to eat is high. So I'm at 8. I'm not fully satisfied, but I'm getting there.
Okay, great stuff. So at the point of ordering, you feel like, wow, I'm at an 8. Okay. Then you've looked at the menu, and I'm sure there's certain things that you like in particular, and then the family has ordered, and the food arrives, and they put it in front of you, right? How do you feel then?
Well, then I think I never thought of it, but what I feel is like just enjoying myself, like in the enjoyment of myself and the food.
Okay. So what is the enjoyment about? Is it the food? Is it the company? Is it the combination? Is it the smell of the place? What is the key here? What is the trigger?
So I like sushi, yet the situation altogether is really what builds up to the food. It's not only the food, obviously. It's like being there, like a long time I haven't been there, and so is the whole thing. Mainly, if I haven't been there for long, let's say I go back in a month or less. Every moment, every part of it, the smell, the waitress, and the being sitting at the table, and everything, everything is a part of the experience.
Fantastic. So when you are in that moment where you've got the food and the people around you and the family and the waitress and the restaurant, the whole package, right? How do you feel then?
I feel I feel I'm in the thing I was looking for a long time. I feel like satisfied for the moment, you know. But then, you know, usually
Okay,
when
good. No, for the moment. Yes, yeah, no, that's fine. So in that moment, you feel satisfaction. As you're describing it now, what is the intensity of that feeling?
at the point it would be 10.
10. Okay. So now, so we've created this little, and again, something we said last time, I'm repeating it. At no stage did I tell you, listen, Davide, imagine this, or look at that. All I said is, what do you see? I kept asking you, right? I never suggested that you see anything. So all of this came out of you. I had nothing to do with it. That's number one. Second, it's obvious, but I'm just stating it for the sake of the audience, is that it didn't seem like you struggled. At no stage did you go, oh, let me concentrate now, let me see. The whole thing just came out, right? So it was simple and easy and spontaneous, and you happen to be visual, that's fine. There was also some feeling, you expressed them, you know, and you gave detail, you spoke about the waitress, the family, the food. There were so many things, right? Arriving there, you described the way you get there, the roundabout, the lake on my right. There was a lot of detail. In fact, there was a lot more detail than what you spoke. If you gave us 10 words, there would have been another 1,000 you could have used to describe every little bit. Now, again, for the sake of time, we're not going to that degree. To do this properly, we would spend at least an hour, and I'd be asking you, see your foot moving, feel this feeling in your body. I mean, at which point, at the end of the hour, you would no longer be in your room where you are now, you would be in the restaurant. Okay?
You mean I would have the experience of the restaurant?
Your external world would have disappeared, and you would imagine, in inverted commas, imagine, but actually experience as if it's real, that you are in the place that you are describing. Okay? So the point that I want to make here, there's a couple of them. Number one, the thing that actually crosses the bridge between us being completely involved in external reality, so-called, and the internal so-called fantasy is the degree of detail. In the external reality, detail is already available. If I look at something, if I look at my phone, I can look at the corner, I can see the light, I can see everything, the wires, the whole thing. All the detail is already there. In the so-called fantasy world, we have to bring it out. How did we do that? By asking you questions. What do you see? What do you feel? And the more detailed questions you ask, the more vivid the internal experience becomes. Is that simple enough? Am I saying it clearly?
You are, and I'm looking for the point in the sense of, like, you know, so I can reproduce my the experience I live by going in detail and think about
so
it.
that's number one. So in terms of the how, the key word is slow down. In fact, it's even easier if you get another person asking you, then your mind is free to, because if you're asking the questions, your brain goes into thinking, then it goes into looking. It's a little bit easier if you have someone asking, but be it as it may. So detail is the first thing. The second question then is, tell me something, this feeling that you have of satisfaction, okay? If I were to offer you, I don't know, what is a lot of money? $1 million, I don't know, whatever, a lot of money. Now, I'm going to give you the money. I'm going to take the feeling. You will never have this feeling ever again in your life. What do you say?
Well, that's a very difficult question, because, you know, on one side,
think about it.
No, there are two answers. No,
you will never ever feel satisfied ever in your life, but you get the $1 million.
There's a part of me that says, you know, I can get my family secure enough, so, you know, the bargain might not be too bad, you know, but
you're going to be miserable for all your life.
Yeah, it's difficult to answer, because my feelings are always with me. You know, it's difficult to take them away. But I think I got to think about.
No. Wait. No, wait. I'm the devil now. Okay? I'm the devil. I'm going to give you the money, and I'm going to take away the feeling, and you'll never have it again.
Well, obviously, that is not going to make the money worth.
Let's talk as if you would never ever have that feeling again. What do you think?
You know, on a principle level, I would say no, because I would say I love my feelings. You know, on a concrete, responsible level, I think, you know, if you take away my feelings, but you let my kids and my family keep having the feelings, I might think about it.
I see. Let's consider what you said, not to go too long in it, but quickly. So you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. How do you think they will feel having you around?
Yeah, not
Something to
too
think
far.
about.
Yeah, yeah, not too
But
far.
we don't want to go far. Let's
That part.
not. Let's stay. Okay. So that's number one. Number two. Imagine the same scene in the restaurant with the food and the family and everything, right? And remove the feeling.
No, yeah, no. There's no way I'd
Then
like
what's
that.
the value of the experience?
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. Whoa, what? Now comes another question. Obviously, we're doing this on a digital platform, but assuming now you were to get up from where you're sitting and go and sit, I don't know, it's another place in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you could have the same feeling where you went? Or would the feeling stay behind?
No, well, it would come with me, I guess, I believe.
Right. So if you go outside the house, the feeling would come with you.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So what are you telling me? What you really want is not the experience of the restaurant, but you want the feeling.
Mm.
But you've just told me the feeling is with you already. What
Yes.
the hell's going on here? What the fuck's going on? Sorry.
Let me question that for a moment, okay? Now I get that feeling, and I was in the restaurant for a moment, and I was enjoying the sushi for the moment when we were talking.
Yeah.
Yet when I came back here talking to you in front of my computer, the disappointment was even larger because it was just a fantasy, and so it made me crave it even more than we did discuss about it before we discuss about it.
Exactly. Now, so the first thing to realize, though, is that with no effort at all, just a couple of questions, I just happened to ask you. I didn't even tell you what to say. You told me, I want to go to a restaurant. You could have said, I want to drive a Ferrari. You could have said anything, right? So you said to me, restaurant. Okay, interesting. Davide wants to go to a restaurant. Of all the things in the world, fine. No problemo, right? And you accessed, I'm not going to say created, you found that feeling in you by following the steps of going to the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And my role was to simply ask you enough questions to make sure you're having an experience. I know you were having the experience. I could see it in your eyes. Your eyes were not looking at the computer anymore. You were in the restaurant, right?
Sure.
That's obvious. It's not complicated.
No.
This is why I said to the audience, please watch his face. Then you told us the feeling of satisfaction when you get the food. It's very intense. It's a 10 out of 10 and all that. Then I brought your attention to the fact that this feeling belongs to you. It has nothing to do with the restaurant.
Mm.
Then you went, oh, yeah, you're right. Shit, I didn't think of that. So the question then is, if that is true, which for me it's obvious, but to anybody listening for the first time, they might be, oh, I never thought of it like that. Okay. Because most people, I would say all, but let me be generous and say most, they really believe if I don't have this, if I don't have that, I will never have a good feeling. And I'm saying nonsense. Every child knows this. When you and I were 3 and 4, I used to pick up a stick. It was a magic sword. And I was delighted. Nobody had to, you know. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is something so simple that people would feel, no, this is nonsense. You don't know the suffering in my life. You know, this is real. This fantasy stuff I don't care about. Stop. This is not for you. Shut it down. Go and watch something else.
Right.
This conversation is for the people who realize, hang on a minute. What I'm really after is the feeling that I already have.
So let me
because the obvious thing is, how could you possibly want something that you don't already have? How would you know it exists?
Right, right. So let me.
Now this sounds a bit philosophical, but
yeah, no. Let me get something that I believe is quite powerful in this context. So basically, what we really want is not the thing that we want to do, but it's the feeling that the thing brings to us. So, and what we really don't want is the feeling that comes with disgraces, you know, not the disgrace itself. So, you know, we don't want to feel the way we don't want to feel. We want to feel the way we want to feel, but we think that the feelings are due to the experience, the actual things we experience. In fact, what you're saying, the things are just triggers of something that is already inside.
Yes.
All right.
You know, there's a guy called Robert Bly. He's a poet, an American poet. And he said once, so many years ago, I heard it and it stuck with me, right? He said, you know, he says, the first time you fall in love, it's not the time to have a relationship. He put it, he's a poet, right? He said, it's the time to start a garden. And I thought, what? I don't like gardening. What is this? But what he meant was, he says, as you realize that you are capable, that is within your range of experience. Remember, it's the first time you fall in love, right? Suddenly you realize, shit, I'm capable of this experience. Wow. Then all you have to do is keep looking intently and consciously and deliberately to find out where this feeling resides in you. In other words, the thing that he called a garden was the internal world, which leads to this feeling coming out. Now, in religious context, people go and live in monasteries for what? For that purpose. When they say, I want to be with Jesus, or if you're a Buddhist, with Buddha, whatever it is, what they're saying is, I want to be in touch with that part of myself that is so profound and so beautiful, and you can call it anything you like. And they spend the whole life looking for the feeling inside. Most of us looking for the feeling outside. I'm saying we need both. Because I mustn't, by the way, sorry, I'm just saying one thing.
Yeah.
This does not mean that you're not going to take the family, put them in the car, go to the restaurant and have a great sushi lunch or dinner, right?
Right,
of course
right.
you can.
Sure.
But while you're doing it, you'll be aware of the fact that actually what I'm after here is myself.
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought of myself this way.
All right. No, that's great. And you know, on that note, on the poet note, you know, I believe, you know, we need to look at our garden, you know, and start to cherish for the way we experience things more than the things we are experiencing. So, I mean, on that note, I want to leave this conversation at that, and we'll pick it up next time with the next
I just want to do a teaser for the next one, right?
All right.
And that is this. Most people, when they try this on their own for the first time, they come face to face with fears and anxieties. They come in face to face with what we call hell. Well, we're going to deal with that in the next episode. Be ready.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Panos. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, David.